So in example 12, we'll carry on using the same database file that we used on the last example. Um, One thing that, and I actually get this question almost every semester. I'm really surprised I didn't get it this semester yet. But I think a lot of you realize that when we're using the control tab on a form like this, that as I move uh, from field to field, or I should say control to control, I move to another record. The cursor stays on that control on the new record, and that's even true if you're over here, say on notes or on some other um, page, and you move. You stay on that page. You stay on that control, and people have always seem to want to have it go back to the start, to go back to the first tab and the first control it could go into. Now there is an easy way to make this happen, what I call literally. All right, but um, that doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. Okay, so I'm going to show you this one. I did a literal movement back to this whenever I go to a new record, and it's actually very easy to do. So one of the things the first thing I had to do obviously is name the control that I want to move back to. So I'm going to move to my CTB person dash name. And where I do that then is I go to the properties for the form. Now I'm on the form properties. I just clicked off the form so I could get there. And you'll notice that there are three embedded macros on every subject form. One is on current, the on current event, one's on after update, and one's after delete confirmation. Okay. Turns out in just a straight subject form. Okay, I haven't. These are all three the same thing. The reason I didn't just put a macro out here and then refer to it here is because I wanted that to be basically encapsulated into the form. But let me open up one of these other ones, not the on current, because that's where we actually do some extra work. I'm going on after delete confirm. If you go in here, you'll see a requery, and then a thing that sets the value. It requeries the control CBO find record combo box, and then it sets the value of uh, the item, sets the value of item to be I'm sorry, it sets the value of CBO find record. Okay, so the find record combo box to be whatever record I'm on. Remember, this is the name of that hidden control that holds the primary key value. Okay, what this is used for is to keep the find record synchronized with the records of the form. All right, and I had to do that in three different places. I had to do it on after delete. So think about what after delete confirm means is that they've decided to delete the record, and I've said yes, go ahead and do it. Okay, so it's actually done it. All right. Well, I need to. I will when I delete a record. What it'll do is it'll put me on the previous record. I think to it in the stack, and now I want that to be the one that's in the find record form. Okay, and this is how it does that. So that's one thing I had to do. The other is after update. Anytime the form is updated, it could have uh, there was a I can't remember exactly, but there's something else that could happen. Let's see, you could delete a record, you can move to a new record, or you create a brand new record. That's it. So if I created a brand new record, there was after update properties for every control, but there's also an after update for the form, which is basically an after update of whatever the current record is. So in other words, on this one, if I were to put a piece of data into this and save the record, then the record is updated. And as soon as it's updated, I want to have it listed there in the find record form. I want to update the combo box and I want to actually have it showing that I'm on that record. So that's yet another thing that this does, and it's exactly the same logic as the other one. But the one that happens the most frequently is you move from record to record. And when you move, you need to have the find record update. So that same logic is in this one. But I also have another bit of logic after the requerying the set value, and that is to go to the control CTB person name. In other words, I've moved to a new record. Wherever I was on that record, whatever other control I may have been in, I want to go to the one that's CTB person name. And that just happens to be the first one on the first page. Okay, now I could have gone to another one. If I wanted to go to email, it would come back to the general tab and put me on email. If I was on a, if it was something on a different tab, it would go there. It would go wherever I wanted. Okay, that's what I mean by when I say a literal movement. Okay, I'm literally moving. Literally telling it where to move. Okay, and again, you would typically do it on the first. Now, yeah, it does require you to name that control and then it requires to use that name there. And again, you don't do that on the other two here. On the after update and the delete confirm, it'll just go to the first one on the new record that it goes to. Okay, it's not like you were on something and it's going to leave it there. Okay, but on when you move from record to record, it will leave it where it is unless you use that command here to move it. So when I say this isn't exactly the way, and I should show you it. Okay, let me show you it. So now, see, I'm moving through the records, and of course, it's going to be on the first one now because I'm there. But before, if I had moved to Hollywood and clicked the next one, it would left me on this. It would give me a different record, but it would left me in that control. Now, when I do it, you'll see it puts me on the name on the new record. Okay, so and that would even happen if I was back here. Say I was doing something on data revisions and I moved to the next record. It takes me to the first. It takes me to that particular one because that's the one I said I wanted to go to. Now, one of the things I've been thinking about for the future of the subject form is to have a little icon called an anchor, and it would actually look like a little boat anchor. And when you anchor, it means that whatever would be the default condition, we are basically in an anchor condition by default when we come into the subject form, meaning that whatever I was on when I moved from record to record, it would stay wherever I was. Okay, and then they would be able to turn that button off, and then it would not stay on that. It would go to the first one on the first tab. That's what I'd like it to do. The problem with that is it would force me to actually have a field that you would have to populate that's been pre-named, and I can't trust that that's going to happen. Plus, like I said, it may not be the first one you want to go to. You want to go to another one. All right. What I'm thinking, it turns out that besides having the literal reference to the control, there's what's called an array reference. And sometimes when you actually use an access wizard to generate a macro that's associated with the command button, if you look at the logic, you'll see that it's looks like an array. It looks like an array element that it's referencing. And there is a way, all these controls we have on a form actually get an array reference. And I've tried several times. I've never gotten it to be able to work, but I haven't really tried that hard. But I'm thinking that what I might do is have an anchor here where if you unclicked it, then it would force it to go to whatever the first control is in that array, which I believe then would be the first field on. Well, no, it may not be because it could be a control that's off the. It could be a control that's off the tab control. It could be in the master somewhere, so it might move there instead, and maybe that's all right. But I'm sure there is a way that I can figure. I'm sure there's some kind of reference where I could say, move to the first available control on the first tab. All right, that would be great. But then it hit me. What if you have a field right away that's disabled? In other words, it's got a data thing in it, but maybe you have a derived control that's based on other values and you want to show that first. All right, and you've got the tab stop off and all that. Then I don't want to programmatically move you there because truthfully I could, even if it's disabled. I think unless it's locked I can actually move it there even if it's disabled, even if there isn't a tab stop, and that would be a bad deal. So I really need to have some kind of mechanism that will say move it to the first one, that isn't protected, that isn't locked, isn't disabled, doesn't have a tab stop, and put it there. That's what I really wanted to do. So if this one was for some reason locked and disabled, then would move it to address instead. Okay, and I don't know exactly how to do that, so I need to work on that. But if I ever do get it to work, it will probably become a automatic part of this subject form. I'll just incorporate it into that, and you'll have the ability to do that by clicking and unclicking an icon. But anyway, until that's there, you have this capability. If you really want to move to another control when you move from record to record, other than the one you were in, then you could actually name that control and then just go to that control in the on current property for the form. So pretty easy to do, but again, not 100% smart. So anyway, that's this one, and we'll move on to another one.